There is a reality many accomplished professionals rarely discuss openly, even among peers who understand responsibility at the highest level. You continue producing results while carrying increasing internal demand. Expectations expand, responsibility grows, performance remains visible to everyone around you, yet recovery becomes something postponed for another day. Many leaders interpret exhaustion as commitment. Long hours appear responsible. Constant accessibility feels necessary. Over time, mental clarity begins to narrow, even while success continues advancing. Leadership strength was never designed to require constant strain. Sustainable excellence begins with awareness, because awareness allows leaders to recognize pressure before it reshapes thinking and decision making. High-performing professionals often arrive at a season where achievement and fatigue exist together. Nothing appears broken from the outside. Teams function well, projects move forward, outcomes remain strong, yet internally, thinking requires more effort than before. The change rarely arrives suddenly. Cognitive demand builds through meetings, decisions, emotional regulation, and ongoing problem solving. Attention remains engaged long after the workday ends. Professional success should never require collapse before correction becomes possible. Clear thinking protects long-term results. When recovery disappears from leadership rhythm, judgment weakens. Creativity becomes harder to access. Patience shortens. Strategic thinking shifts toward urgency instead of vision. Organizations benefit when leadership energy remains regulated rather than depleted. Performance improves when recovery becomes intentional instead of accidental. Healthy leadership remains achievable when pressure is recognized early. Many professionals continue advancing without recognizing how much adaptation has taken place within their thinking process. Tasks that once felt manageable now require sustained concentration. Decisions demand extended evaluation. Each adjustment appears small, yet together they signal increasing cognitive load. Leaders compensate by extending effort instead of restoring clarity. Productivity appears maintained while mental recovery continues shrinking. Awareness allows adjustment before exhaustion becomes normalized leadership behavior. Burnout rarely begins with failure. More often, it develops during seasons of continued success without structured restoration. Competence attracts responsibility. Visibility increases expectations. Dependability invites additional demands, and leaders continue accepting those demands because service and excellence matter deeply. Exhaustion becomes familiar. Clarity can return earlier than most professionals expect, yet recognition must occur before fatigue becomes identity. If this experience feels familiar, the issue is not capability. The issue is the absence of structured recovery. The REST framework introduces a disciplined approach that interrupts this progression. Recognize pressure early. Awareness protects leadership capacity. Leaders who notice fatigue signals before crisis maintain stability in decision-making and communication. Explore contributing demands honestly. Pressure rarely originates from one source. Organizational expectations combined with personal standards and emotional responsibility. Honest evaluation reveals where recovery has disappeared. Support leadership capacity intentionally. Support includes boundaries, thoughtful scheduling, and protected cognitive space between decisions. Sustainable leadership develops through systems that preserve clarity, take action before exhaustion develops. Action restores rhythm without abandoning responsibility. Small adjustments prevent larger disruption later. Burnout becomes preventable when structure replaces reaction. Structured recovery does not reduce ambition or commitment. It protects the conditions required for sustained excellence. Leaders who regulate workload rhythms experience renewed focus and steadier communication during complex situations. Resilience develops through repeatable practices that protect attention and energy. When leaders integrate recovery into operational thinking, performance stabilizes without personal depletion. Strong leadership protects clarity first because every decision flows from the condition of the leader's thinking. When energy becomes regulated with intention, communication stabilizes and teams respond with confidence. Decision making improves because attention becomes available again. Recovery strengthens authority rather than reducing productivity. Many professionals delay adjustment because exhaustion appears connected to dedication. Sustained effectiveness depends on regulated performance cycles that preserve mental presence. Leadership influence expands when clarity remains consistent across changing conditions. Organizations thrive when leaders think well under pressure. Strategic direction strengthens. Conflict decreases. Innovation returns when cognitive overload declines. Performance improves when recovery becomes strategic. Leadership was never intended to operate through constant acceleration. Sustainable results develop through intentional rhythm that protects long-term effectiveness. There comes a moment in leadership when productivity alone no longer answers the deeper question every leader eventually faces. The question becomes whether performance is sustained through clarity or maintained through effort alone. Many accomplished professionals continue delivering outcomes while carrying invisible cognitive fatigue. Results remain strong, yet decision-making requires greater concentration. Conversations demand more emotional regulation. Recovery feels shorter even when time away exists. Leadership responsibility often expands faster than internal restoration. The danger does not appear through failure. The danger appears when success continues while mental capacity receives no renewal. True leadership maturity includes recognizing when pressure begins influencing perception. Fatigue alters interpretation before it alters performance. High-performing leaders who sustain influence across decades protect the condition of their thinking before protecting output. Clarity becomes the competitive advantage few organizations measure, yet every organization depends upon. When leaders restore mental space, creativity returns, communication improves, teams sense stability even during uncertainty because leadership presence remains steady. Recovery allows leaders to respond instead of react. Leadership does not improve through greater effort alone. Leadership improves when awareness guides action before exhaustion becomes required for change. Many leaders discover their greatest breakthroughs occur after intentional recalibration rather than continued acceleration. Space allows insight to return. Perspective widens. Decisions regain confidence because thinking no longer competes with fatigue. Leaders who pause with intention notice renewed patience in conversations and stronger presence during moments that require discernment. Teams recognize this stability even when it remains unspoken. Sustained excellence grows from leaders who understand that protecting clarity protects people, strategy, and long-term organizational health. You can remain successful without sacrificing stability. You can lead effectively without reaching exhaustion. Leadership longevity depends less on intensity and more on consistency of mental presence. Leadership strength remains available when recovery becomes part of performance strategy. Sustainable leadership begins the moment awareness replaces endurance. Check your stress level at restleader.com.